Ryan Shazier. Ryan Shazier's injury unfolded like a nightmare that no one saw coming, because it happened on a routine tackle he had made thousands of times before. He lowered his head, hit the receiver's thigh, and instantly grabbed at his spine, unable to move his legs. Teammates surrounded him in disbelief as the stadium fell silent. Realizing something far worse than a normal injury had taken place, doctors diagnosed a spinal contusion, and the road ahead turned into one of the most daunting recoveries the league had ever witnessed. Shazier underwent stabilization surgery that threatened not only his career, but his ability to ever walk again. Rehab pushed him past every physical and emotional limit, yet he never backed down. Slowly, he stood, then walked, then danced at his wedding, proving his spirit was stronger than the hit that changed everything. His career ended, but his resolve became legendary, and what happened to the next player would reveal an entirely different kind of devastation, one that tested the limits of pain in another way. E.J. Henderson. E.J. Henderson's injury remains one of the most visually jarring moments ever broadcast during an NFL game. As he closed in for what should have been a standard tackle, his leg bent in a direction no human limb should ever go. His femur snapped cleanly, creating an image that stunned players on both sidelines and left commentators scrambling for words. Teammates knelt beside him, realizing immediately that this wasn't the kind of injury someone simply bounces back from. The Vikings watched their defensive captain carted off, and fans braced for the worst. Henderson's rehab became a grueling fight against pain and uncertainty, but his determination refused to fade. He endured surgery, intensive recovery, and months of rebuilding his leg from the inside out. Incredibly, he returned to play the following season, proving resilience can be just as powerful as physical strength. His comeback shocked fans across the league, but what happened in the next story would hit with an emotional weight few were ready for, showing how fragile the spine itself can be in the chaos of a football game. NaVorro Bowman. NaVorro Bowman's injury became one of the most infamous postseason moments in modern football because it happened at the absolute worst time with millions watching. In the NFC Championship, Bowman fought for a fumble near the goal line when a receiver rolled across his leg, twisting his knee in a grotesque collapse. Fans stared in disbelief as he clutched his leg, the replay revealing torn ligaments and structural damage that threatened his entire career. The injury overshadowed everything happening on the field, as players realized a defensive superstar had just gone down in agonizing fashion. Bowman had been the heart of the 49ers defense, a relentless enforcer who never backed down, and seeing him carted off changed the mood of the entire stadium. Rehab became a long journey filled with uncertainty, but his return to dominance only added to his legacy. His resilience made headlines, but what came next would highlight a linebacker whose injuries kept stacking until they reshaped his entire identity as a leader and a symbol of toughness. Thomas Davis. Thomas Davis's career is defined by one of the most astonishing comeback stories ever, because he tore the same ACL 3 separate times and still refused to quit. Most players struggle returning from one tear, yet Davis pushed through each surgery with the same determination that made him one of the league's most respected leaders. The third tier should have ended everything, but he fought through rehab again, insisting he wasn't finished. His persistence paid off as he not only returned, but reclaimed his role as a defensive centerpiece. Davis even played in the Super Bowl after breaking his arm just weeks earlier, strapping on a reinforced brace and refusing to let pain define his story. Teammates called him a warrior, and fans viewed him as proof that grit can outweigh medical expectations. His journey showed that injuries can break bones, but not always willpower. And what happened next would show how a young linebacker suffered one of the most heartbreaking setbacks on the biggest stage of his life, right when his career should have been beginning. Jaylon Smith. Jaylon Smith's injury struck at one of the worst moments imaginable, unfolding during his final college game just weeks before the NFL draft. A violent collision caused his knee to hyperextend, tearing multiple ligaments and damaging the peroneal nerve that controls foot movement. Medical experts feared he might never regain full function, and draft scouts questioned whether he would ever play again. His draft stock plummeted, and the future he had spent years building suddenly looked uncertain. But Smith refused to let the injury define his path. Rehab became an exhausting battle against nerve damage and instability, yet he embraced every setback with the same intensity he showed on the field. Slowly, strength returned, movement improved, and he clawed his way back into the NFL spotlight. His early seasons showcased flashes of the superstar he was projected to be, proving determination can reshape destiny. And what comes next explores another legendary linebacker whose fearless reputation hid the toll his injuries took behind the scenes, revealing a much deeper struggle. Junior Seau. Junior Seau was one of the toughest linebackers to ever play, but even he couldn't outrun the physical toll of his career. One of his most gruesome injuries occurred when he suffered a compound fracture of his arm, with the bone breaking through the skin during a tackle. Blood pooled as teammates and trainers rushed toward him, stunned at the severity. Seau, known for his ferocity and unmatched motor, was suddenly faced with an injury that would haunt highlight reels for years. His recovery demanded surgery and grueling rehab, yet he returned the following season because quitting wasn't part of his vocabulary. But the arm break was only one chapter of a much larger story, because Seau's body absorbed more punishment than most players could fathom. His later life struggles would spark conversations across the sport about long-term health and the unseen effects of constant contact. His legacy remains complex and powerful, and the next player's story would highlight a different kind of tragedy tied not to one hit, but to years of accumulating damage. Patrick Willis. Patrick Willis didn't suffer one dramatic injury that ended everything. Instead, his career unraveled through chronic foot pain so severe it changed the way he walked, trained, and ultimately lived. For years, Willis played through torment, refusing to let anyone see how badly it affected him. He anchored the 49ers defense with unmatched instinct and power, earning all-pro honors while managing pain that would sideline most athletes permanently. Over time, the damage worsened, creating long-term complications that no amount of rehab could fully solve. Eventually, the truth came out. His feet were deteriorating to the point where continuing meant risking lifelong disability. Fans were heartbroken when he retired early, shocked to see a superstar walk away at his absolute peak. His decision sparked debate across the league about hidden injuries and the pressure players faced to keep going. And what happened next would reveal another linebacker whose career became defined by injuries arriving year after year, each one testing the limits of endurance and hope. Sean Lee. Sean Lee's talent was undeniable, but his career quickly became synonymous with devastating injuries that arrived like clockwork. Torn ACLs, hamstring issues, concussions, knee sprains, ankle problems, every season carried a new setback. Coaches praised his intelligence and leadership, calling him one of the smartest linebackers they had ever worked with, yet his body simply refused to cooperate. Lee prepared endlessly, studied film obsessively, and attacked rehab with relentless focus. But injuries kept stealing opportunities from him. Fans would watch him dominate one week and land on the injury report the next, creating a cycle that felt cruel. Despite everything, Lee kept returning, determined to contribute however he could. His resilience inspired teammates, and his presence in the locker room became just as valuable as his play on the field. His journey was a battle against time and circumstance, and his perseverance became a lesson in grit. But first, only cool people are subscribed to this channel, so hit that subscribe button before we go any further. And the final player's injury would reveal a completely different kind of downfall. Kevin Everett. Kevin Everett's injury forced the football world to confront the terrifying reality of how quickly a routine play can spiral into a life-altering crisis. On a special teams collision, Everett's helmet struck the returner's body at just the wrong angle, and he immediately collapsed without moving. Doctors later revealed he had fractured and dislocated vertebrae in his neck, an injury so severe they feared permanent paralysis. Players stood frozen, unable to process what they were witnessing. The early prognosis was grim, and fans braced for devastating news, but Everett underwent rapid cooling treatments and invasive surgery that aimed to preserve whatever spinal function he had left. His recovery shocked experts as he regained movement in his legs, turning what seemed like a tragedy into a testament of medical urgency and personal determination. His NFL career ended instantly, yet his ability to walk again became the victory that mattered most. Everett's story shook the entire league, and what happened to the next linebacker would introduce a different kind of heartbreak rooted in championship stakes and brutal timing. Kiko Alonso. Kiko Alonso's injury history is a roller coaster of highs and lows, but the one that derailed his early career struck during off-season workouts when he tore his ACL. It wasn't a highlight moment or a dramatic collision, just a misstep that instantly changed everything. Alonso had burst into the league as a Defensive Rookie of the Year candidate, becoming a fan favorite with his aggressive style and sideline-to-sideline speed. The ACL tear cost him the entire next season, and despite returning, he faced a string of additional injuries ranging from knee setbacks injuries to severe groin issues that constantly disrupted his momentum. Whispers around the league suggested he might never regain the explosiveness that defined his game. His career became a story of flashes overshadowed by physical limitations, leaving fans wondering what he could have become with a healthy body. His journey captures how fragile potential can be in a sport built on violence. If you like this video, consider watching this next one, which YouTube thinks you are going to really love.